A little bit about yourself.
So my name's Yileen Gordan. I grew up in a place called Waterloo. I'm a Bunjalung Gordan man. I was lucky enough to play NRL football with the Rabbitohs at the age of 18, and played with a few other clubs, including the Bulldogs and Panthers.
How and why did you start playing rugby league?
I started playing, I think old man sort of pushed me into it when I was about 5 or 6, for Alexandria Rovers, and haven't looked back since. I'm 33 now, so I'm still playing. So
It's pretty good. Can you tell me a bit about your career and like how it went?
Like I said before, I was lucky enough to play with the Rabbitohs for when I was 18 years of age, straight out of school, and played there for 3 years, moved on to the Bulldogs, and played a couple of years there, and then moved on to the Panthers, where I sort of, for lack of a better word, up a bit, or stuffed up, and and cost me an NRL contract. So after that, with a young family on the way, I had to get a job, and with that I got a trade as a plumber. So that's what
Have you ever experienced any sort of racism on the field?
When I say lucky, I mean, it has happened.
Yeah.
To other players and stuff like that. But I was only experienced it once, and the way I responded was pretty much what you can do on the footy field, and just smash the bloke in a hard tackle.
Yeah.
And move on with it from there.
Does having a platform of an NRL player help or hinder when you're dealing with issues with racism? Like, did it help you while playing?
I think back then when I was young, probably didn't educate myself too much on that sort of stuff, racism, and didn't think much of it. But being a lot older, I think looking back, I think education is the key. So if you're a well-educated young man, you know your culture, you know your roots, and you're educated in what you believe, then I think NRL absolutely can be a great platform. And if having the right people around you can really help you deliver the right messages in the right way.
Yeah. Have you used your platform to address like issues like this, or not really?
As I've gotten older, and sort of once I finished my NRL career, definitely have helped young guys along the way, and just the expectations of being an NRL player and the realities of them as well. Like there's people look at NRL players, in such a bright light, but if you're not playing NRL, it's a big gap. If they're playing reserve grade or under 20 is a big gap. So definitely try to help out the younger guys.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's harder for like the 20s and like just normal grade rather than like the NRL players to talk about it?
I think I'll go back to education. So I think if you're educated well enough, it doesn't matter your age. So if you're a younger player, and you're well educated in your culture, and what you believe in, you can articulate it. I think age and sort of grade doesn't really matter, because you know what you're speaking about, and then the truth will always come to the top.
Yeah. LeBron James, NBA player, was once told to shut up and dribble the ball when he tried to address a social issue. Do you think that like this attitude is shown in Australia? Like players trying to talk up and then they're just shut down by the media?
I don't think that too much. I think in Australia we have something called tall poppy syndrome. I think when somebody becomes bigger than a sport, so say like your Greg Inglis, Jonathan Firstons, when they become so big, there's always going to be a louder voice for people breaking them down than there is people supporting them.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone, more people saying, oh, they've done this, they've done that, than there are people praising them. So I think that happens in Australian sport far too often. So it is very similar to that incident with LeBron James, which I am aware of, but that's their sort of the way they run their sport is very different to Australia. So
what are your thoughts on the media always scrutinising Latrell Mitchell and other Indigenous players?
I think it's the way things are with the COVID-19 and the rugby league, the impact it actually has on people. We can see that now. The media sort of are gravitating towards anything. There could be two cockroaches racing up a wall, and the media will comment about that just because they might see it as a sport. You know, like Latrell obviously a big name, and he's like well deserved, but people forget at the end of the day he's a 22-year-old young man.
Yeah.
And he has a young family. You know, we are people at the end of the day. You know, he's a young man with a young family, so the harassment and unfair treatment he gets, I think is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's something that needs to change. But also, you know, I would say if we weren't in this lockdown period, I don't think that would be happening.
Yeah.
I think because we're so starved of, you know, the local punter down the pub, so starved of sport. You know, anything, you know, the media can grab onto, they will. And yeah, he's got to look at some of the storylines, and I believe he's definitely unfairly treated.
Yeah. What changes can be made to improve athletes' opportunity this week out and listen to?
I think it falls back on the players educating themselves. You know, like, you know, I learned this after I played footy, but like you've got to take the opportunities that you get with rugby league.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the education that you can access, some of the stuff you can access when you're an NRL player, as you can't access that every day.
Yeah.
You know, as an everyday person. So taking opportunities to access the benefits of being an NRL player,
Mm-hmm.
and using it to your full advantage, I think, is most important. And with that, you gain education, and you know, you're able to, you know, confidently, you know, and articulately, speak on, you know, taboo subjects, you know, such as racism in sport, you know, which people aren't too fond of speaking about. But the reality is it exists, and education is the key for that.
Yeah. Do you feel like players are only like treated fairly while playing the sport, and then like when they try to speak up about an issue, they're just told to like just be quiet, just play your sport, sort of thing?
I think so, but I think it comes down to, like I've touched on a few times now, it's education. You know, players, NRL players are seen just as footy players.
Yeah.
You know, there's footy players with business degrees. You know, all types of tertiary education. You know, that they've gained through playing NRL footy.
Yeah.
And that goes unrecognised. So we're just seen as dumb footy players. You know.
Yeah.
So when somebody has something smart to say,
Mm-hmm.
they're saying, "Oh, he's just a footy player." So
Yeah.
I think a lack of respect as a person, and an educated person at that,
Mm-hmm.
is heavily undervalued. So yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say or share?
Not really. Just
Not really.
thanks for the opportunity to
Nah,
share my
you're
thoughts
right.
on some things.
Yeah.